Cheese. And welcome back to That's Some Cheese, part of the Vendetta Sports Podcast Network. Today is Friday, July 5th, 2019. I am officially back from London, so the site will be getting a lot more updates here. Not a typical podcast, but I did want to share my adventures in London. Couple things I want to mention here. Number one, if you haven't noticed by now, I work my ass off. And that's not a brag, it's just a fact. No other person puts out content while they're on vacation. Not only that, but I had all of the articles that came out pre-written. So anything that was done over this past week, article about Justin Ross, Kyrie and Kevin Durant going to Brooklyn, another article about Wentz better than Dak Prescott, another article about me cursing the Titans. All of those articles in that stretch were done before I ever went to London. Okay? So, number one, that's the kind of guy I am. If you haven't joined the site already, you're just missing out because nobody is going to work harder than me. That's just item number one. Item number two, things I did not like about London. Number one, no air conditioning. I don't know what the deal is with that. Apparently, Europe doesn't believe in air conditioning. We were in this little apartment, and it was on the 5th floor. I was dying every single night. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. Really don't understand it. How people sit through that with no air conditioning. It's crazy. I don't get it. Even the double-decker buses that they had, which looked really awesome. If you sat on that second deck of the bus, you're sweating your balls off the whole time. I don't get it. So, clean it up, Europe. Get some air conditioning. Number two, I did not have an ice cube all week. I didn't have cold water all week. Europe, again, apparently does not believe in drinking cold water or drinking water with ice. Something that I'm very accustomed to. Something that I do like doing. Like, who doesn't love chewing an ice cube? Not Europe. Makes no sense. Those two things, didn't understand at all. Things I liked about Europe. There were a lot of them. So the first day, went to the Red Sox-Yankees game at the West Ham Stadium. Really cool soccer stadium. Not the premier powerhouse like Manchester City, Manchester United. Not premier powerhouse, but West Ham's a decent little team, and it was a cool stadium. One thing, I'll get into sports here. Dave Dombrowski made my viewing experience unwatchable because his ignorance with this Red Sox bullpen is flat out nothing except ignorance. That's all it can be described as, because in the offseason, the Red Sox lost Craig Kimbrell, who was the closer. They lost Joe Kelly, who was at times the nice 7th inning guy. Maybe he pitched other roles. But in the offseason, they lost those two guys. From that point, Dave Dombrowski did not trade for anyone. He did not sign anyone other than minor league signings. He did not sign a single reliever to a major league contract. He did not trade for a single reliever except for Colton Brewer, who the Red Sox only acquired because the Padres had a 40-man roster crunch. So he was going to get moved regardless. Outside of that, the Red Sox did nothing to address the pen. Nothing. So the first night was the night I arrived in London. I did not go to that game. That game, the Red Sox gave up an astounding number of runs. An astounding number of runs. They gave up 17 runs in the first game against the Yankees, a game that I didn't go to. That first game, 17 runs. They scored 13. How many games do you score 13 runs and lose? That's how bad this fucking bullpen is. It is unacceptable. There's no other words that can go along with it. Stephen Wright, I don't know how this fucking guy's even on the roster. He beat up his wife. He got caught for steroids. He's still on the roster. Don't get it. All right, it's disgraceful. It's ignorance. That's all it is. Then you got Mike Schwarren. He threw one inning and gave up 8 fucking runs. 8 runs. How do you do this? How are there no other options available? The second game, the game I was actually at, the Red Sox scored 8 runs. How many games do you score 8 runs and lose? Well, the Red Sox found a way to do it twice. They found a way to do it twice. And the craziest part about it was the Red Sox got through 6 innings and gave up 2 runs. 7, 8, and 9, they gave up 6 runs. Marcus Walden comes in, gives up 4 runs, doesn't get a fucking out. Matt Barnes comes in, gets 1 out, gives up 3 runs. Josh Taylor comes in, 2 more runs. Ryan Brazier comes in, another run. This bullpen fucking blows, and it's unacceptable, and the only thing that can perfectly describe it is ignorance, because Dombrowski had a full off season to rework this pen, get creative, and he said, you know what, fuck it, I'm good, I'm not doing anything. It's ignorance. That's the only way to describe it. And it's not the Red Sox ownership's fault, because they have the highest payroll in baseball, and John Henry has given this team every single thing it needs financially to get the job done. The problem is Dombrowski has been nothing except ignorant. That's the only way you can describe it. Here's the Red Sox offseason in one shot. They re-signed Nate Eovaldi. He's been hurt all year, who I'm going to get to in a second. Eduardo Nunez picked up his player option. Fuck. Cost another $5 million. He sucks. Steve Pearce re-signed 1 year, $6.25 million. He's been either terrible or hurt all year. Right now, the Red Sox pen is Marcus Walden, who blows a fat dick. He's 30 years old. He was a career minor leaguer. This is his major league debut at 30 years old. Okay, not good. Next, Josh Taylor. Throws hard, can't do much else. Then you got Matt Barnes, who he's thrown into this role where he's going to get the tough outs in the lineup. Don't know how. Don't know why. Matt Barnes is very average. That's the only way to describe him. Ryan Brazier. They signed him from Japan on a minor league contract. That's your bullpen. And you sit there and you say, you know what? That's good. I think we're going to win with this pen. 16 blown saves. That's the difference. That's the entire difference in the standings. But you know what? You're ignorant, Dombrowski. You're ignorant. And now, the Red Sox are going to put Nate Eovaldi in the bullpen. He's our new closer. He's barely pitched all year. He's had Tommy John twice. You just spent the whole offseason explaining why he's going to be a starter. This move reeks of desperation. That's all it does. Because this is pathetic. You don't want to find alternative solutions or actually make a trade and get this thing fixed. Instead, you want to half-ass it and use options that aren't suitable. And it's flat out embarrassing by a team that just won the World Series. I've had it with this bullpen. I'm sick and tired of it. I can't do it anymore. Sorry for that rant, but I needed to get it out done. Because this is embarrassing. And it's just ignorant. That's all it is. Enough about that. Next in London, well, a couple things. London, not the biggest food town. Not the biggest food town. Couple of things. I tried a Scotch egg. It's basically breadcrumbs, sausage on top of an egg. Hope I explained that okay. But it's basically a hard-boiled egg wrapped in sausage with breadcrumbs and fried. It was okay. I don't know. It was okay, but I figured I would try it. Another thing I had, fish and chips. I think that's the national dish. I'm not sure. Those were excellent. Couldn't complain. I'm a big fish person. Very satisfied with that. Big ass cod. We went to this place called Fisher's. Fish and chips. It was great. Another thing. I've had enough fries. They call them chips over there, but I've had enough fries. I don't think I want to eat fries for 2 months, 3 months. I don't know how those people eat fries every day. It's served with everything, and they're called chips. And chips are crisps. So, I don't know how these people eat chips every day. I should say fries. I don't know how these people eat fries every day. It's insane. It literally is insane. It's served with every single meal. I don't get it. They were actually good. I'm not complaining about the taste. Well, they could have been a little bit thinner. I'm normally a thin fry person, but these were definitely considered steak fries, and I don't know. You have to go to experience it. A couple other things. Went to a pub. Crown and Anchor, it was called, right next to the apartment we were staying in. Very interesting. It's not like normal bars. You just it's kind of thing you do after you go to work, I guess. I don't know. Very difficult to explain. It's not like a normal bar. If you want food, you got to go up to the bar and order it. You don't leave tips, or I should say, you don't tip nearly as much. I normally tip $1 every time I go to the bar. Every drink that I order, I mean. $1 per drink is usually what I do, but not a thing in Europe. So, a couple other things I did. I saw the London Eye. Did not go in the London Eye. Did a river cruise across the Thames. Very gorgeous. Let's see what else we did. Saw the Big Ben. The Buckingham Palace I was not impressed with. Missed the changing of the guards. I don't know why, but when we went, there was no guards outside. They were all police officers. But I guess they do change them. I don't know. I didn't understand the fascination over the palace. It just looked like an old church or something. That's really what it looked like. I was not impressed with it. The train system, I feel like I sat on there forever. They have a very famous breakfast called the Full English Breakfast. It's eggs, Canadian bacon, sausage, beans, and a tomato. Here's what I don't like. Tomatoes with my breakfast. Here's what I don't like. Tomatoes in any regard. Tomatoes are disgusting. I don't understand how anybody can eat a whole tomato. It's flat out gross. And it came out all soggy, and I'll watch the other people eat that. I'm not messing with that. Not eating a full tomato. They have this mall called Westfield Mall. Wasn't really that impressed. One of the cooler things I got to do, the Churchill War Rooms, those were pretty cool. Winston Churchill was the man. Those were pretty cool. Basically, what they were, it's Churchill's office and everything that went into planning the World War II, war tactics, laws in place, just all of that. It was really cool to see. And basically what it was is when World War II ended, Churchill left and just packed up, and that was it. And since that time, it's basically everything is intact. So it's really cool to see. That pretty much does it. Overall, really nice city. I really enjoyed it. Got pretty much everything I wanted to do in, except minus the Stonehenge. Wanted to see the Roman baths, but that pretty much does it. Definitely recommend London. Go get yourself some fish and chips. I do want to check out one of the soccer teams eventually, but London treated me very well. Enjoyed my trip. Did stop in Belgium for a little bit, grab some waffles. Those were good. Other than that, that about does it. I am back, ready to get this site rolling, strong and heavy again. So until next time, we'll see you soon.